mostly elderly people, and it was a real blessing to be there. On the picture here, you see the church. As you can see, it is really small, right in the middle of a really nice neighborhood. This is the inside of the church. Me and Franco actually slept in the sanctuary, so it was quite of an experience. I think it's the first time that I ever slept in the sanctuary. Maybe, I don't know if that's actually true. Like Samuel, indeed. I was expecting to hear the voice of the Lord, but didn't hear anything. The ladies were sleeping downstairs. There's a basement, where there's a fellowship hall and where they have the Sabbath schools for the children, so they slept downstairs. Actually, right in this spot, there was a missionary, and he started ministering to that community. And he started there with a tent and doing tent sermons. And right on that spot is a church built at this moment, this church. And from this church, church members went out to different communities and started different churches. But also the current hospital is built from church members that were going to this church. So it's a church with a really beautiful history. Now, the first Sabbath, I was directly thrown before the lions, and I was privileged to share a sermon. I talked about God being the God of all comfort. And as we receive comfort as Christians, that we are appointed to share that comfort that we have received. And it ties beautifully into the medical missionary work, that we are all called to be medical missionaries, to share the comfort that we have received as Christians. So this is what the sermon was about. What we did 2 trainings, 2 hydrotherapy trainings and a health expo. You see Ariella with this courageous woman doing a face contrast bath. Here's JC doing a salt glow treatment. The wife of Daniel McFeeters, the pastor, she ministers to the community of Kentucky through a kitchen. And it's a really nice place. You see, I think I put my life on the spot putting this picture here. Sorry, Sylvia. But it's a really nice picture. You see these muffins. These are divine muffins. She prayed for a recipe, and God gave her a recipe. So you won't find any muffins on the world like this. I'm so sorry, Sylvia. We did a church training. This lady, Bobby, she had a headache, and it was alleviated by the hot food bath that she received from us here. We had the health expo. It was really nice, kind of lengthy, 8 hours for a health expo, so it was kind of exhausting. But I think around 40 people from the community visited the health expo, so it was a real success. And this man over here, his name is James. He's homeless. We encountered him as we were flyering for the health expo, trying to get people in. And he was in the parking lot reading through a Bible commentary. So I talked with him, shared the scripture, and we prayed. And he showed up the day after to the health expo. It was on a Friday. And the day after the Sabbath, he also showed up. And he also showed up for the evening program. And the Monday after, he also showed up for the Bible studies. But after that, he wasn't seen anymore. But what happened, friends of the church encountered him in a park, and he was sleeping in a tent in that same park. They spoke with him, and they actually found out that he was going to that church in London. So they called to the London church, verified the story. Yeah, it was indeed true. He came to the church for a couple of days. So they had like a motorhome on their property and invited him to stay in that motorhome. So he's no longer homeless. He's now home. So we're so grateful that we see God indeed working as we go out into the mission field.
I would say one of the biggest trials that we faced in Kentucky was not the work, but it was the creatures. And I wish I actually showed the picture of the creatures, but they were spider crickets. And the rooms that we were staying in, they were very small rooms. The floor was all messed up, and because they were re-innovating it. And there was spider crickets in the bathroom, in the shower room, and all these different places. So sometimes there would be fear of sleeping at night. And also because they were re-innovating the building, there would be water coming in underneath the building into the room, and my area would get flooded with water. And so for me, I would say that was the biggest challenge of the whole Kentucky trip. But the blessing of it was that we had prepared a lot of the books that they were going to be using at the Health Expo that we were having on Friday. And it was a lot of books. We had like different things like on health as well as on the Bible that we were going to give in the community, whoever was working on the booth on Friday for the Health Expo. And Emily and I, we also had to pass out flyers, so we went in groups of 2. Emily was with me, and we had went to different businesses after we finished streets. And it was a blessing that we ended up meeting into this guy, and he was walking around with a paper that had different psalms on there that inspired him, and he ended up giving that psalms to us. Because we prayed with him, and he was like, "Here, you know what? You can have this." And he was such a nice old man. And so we were like, let's take a picture together. And then as we just kept passing, there was also another instance where Emily and I went into a firefighter station. I was like, man, everyone's not here, they're at work. So I was like, let's go to this firefighter station. And they're all doing their busyness, their training, and it's late at night. And so I go up to each one of the people, I'm like, yada yada this, here, take a flyer, And these guys are in the middle of doing their business, and here I am intruding. But they didn't tell me to leave. They just like, oh, thank you. And one of the guys that was there, that was a firefighter, actually knew one of the people from the church. And he said that he wants to go, and he was going to try to make it. Unfortunately, he did not for the Health Expo because ended up being an incident that he got pulled away from. But he's a Pentecostal guy who is actually been giving literature on Seventh-day Adventism, and he's been kind of seeing that, this stuff makes sense. And little by little, he's kind of seeing that the things that's in the Pentecostal church, it does not line up, and it doesn't make sense. And so it was a blessing to even see that there are people in the church, even though it's a very old church, most of the members are old, and you maybe have like some family members that only have a few small children. But a lot of them are very old, and they said that before we came there, that they felt dead. But then when we came, it's like we brought a revival to them at the church. And it was a blessing to hear that from them because we felt based on their spirits that they were reviving us in the spirit to do the work. And then this is also the second hydrotherapy demonstration that we did. The girl underneath the towel next to Jerry, she actually had lymphedema, and it was sad to hear that most of her lymph nodes were gone, and that there is nothing that too much could be done, and that though we wanted to do what we could, there is not too much that we could do, and also the woman next to Emily, as what he said, that she had a headache. And after Emily gave her the treatment, the headache was relieved. And then there's the guy next to me, his name is Hunter. Him and his mom were actually homeless for some time, living in their car. And Emily ended up meeting these people and asking them to come. And they ended up coming for the hydro demonstration. They also ended up later on coming to the Health Expo, which was the following day. And they ended up coming the next day for breakfast in the morning. And it was a blessing to see that we were able to fellowship with them, and that we were, hopefully that the church members are still linking up with them. And her son, actually, this guy, he has arthritis in his hands, and he's had it only for a few years. And so each one of these people, they've actually gotten different treatments for things that they were experiencing. The one that Franco was given a treatment for, a girl was experiencing different pains in her neck. And it was really sore, and it was really hurting her. And each person, they were actually able to experience the blessings that the natural remedies that we teach here we're able to really relieve them. And it actually gives us comfort to know that the things that we do, not that we do, but that God does through it, actually works, and that people are able to recognize it. And when they recognize it, they're able to glorify God in it, and that they can do it for themselves and share it with others. And they also gave us a certificate of recognition to Sylvia, but also to us too. And not to recognize us necessarily, but recognize God who had given these things to us here at Wildwood, because not many people know the things that we have. There's as I was getting to know the different people in the church, it's really sad to know that there are literally people who are sick in the church. And a lot of them, they had a lot of different health problems, medical problems. Some had cancer, and they were fighting and battling cancer in the church, lymphedema, all these different things, fighting obesity, overweight, and everything else. And it's sad to see that these things happen, and they never heard of this message until we had given it to them. And that's a blessing that we have as Adventists, that we have this message that we can share with others, because there's so many, not just outside the church, but those who are in it that are waiting to reap the blessing that we have. And once they have it and they understand it, then they want to give it as well to others, because now they understand it for themselves.
Thank you very much, Ariel and Jerry. Now we go all the way to the west. You haven't heard this, and this is a very exciting testimony. I would like to invite my friend Ishmael and the whole team from Texas to come here and share with us their blessings and testimonies.
there are opportunities with people that come from different countries to America. The quote says that God in his providence has brought men as it were to our very doors and thrust them into our arms that they might hear the truth and be qualified to do a work we could not do in getting to people that don't know the tongues, that we don't know the tongues that they speak. We're going to start by just introducing the Houston Love Church team, which is going to talk a little bit about their experience there.
We had the privilege to go to this Spanish church. We have been working with the pastor and his schedule. So we have to be ready for everything. If he needs a preacher, here we have. Pastor Julian was a preacher. If he needs somebody to sing, I was there. And I was scared, by the way. And then one day he told us, please tell us what you are learning in Wildwood. We were just shocked. But we have to be ready to explain what we have been learning. So it was a really big challenge. And also, we were visiting the church members, and that has been a really good blessing for us. We have been applying massage hydrotherapy for them, and also gardening. Whatever the members they needed, we were for them. And I think for me, this experience has shown that I really needed this training to serve the God. And outside, even our brothers and sisters, they need this kind of experience that we have, and that's why I feel very privileged for that.
We had the opportunity to flyer in for an evangelistic series that was coming the next week. And you know that we had also the opportunity to give away some Bibles to the people. And with this special lady happened something different, because she opened her door and she told us, you came in the right time I was needing. I was having some immigration issues with me, with my kids, my husband, and I was hopeless. But now I have one reason to keep doing and to keep waiting a blessing from God, and she got her Bible. She didn't have a Bible. So those small but special moments show us that God could use us in that mission trip.
As for me, this experience taught me a lot. I was the only one in the group that didn't speak Spanish. and that was a blessing. We had like many times that would be nice to speak, but it was amazing to see that God can use us even though we don't open our mouths to speak. And was nice giving away flyers for the campaign that was going to happen in one of the churches. And sometimes when even some of the people that were able to speak the language, they were kind of afraid of doing that. I was able to be used as an instrument of God to show that it's not us that are doing the work. It's not us. It's not our invitation, but it's the invitation of God, and that was a blessing for me.
And he also opened his mouth to speak Spanish.
Another blessing another blessing for this experience was to get closer to the friends that we have here at Wildwood. It was a blessing.
Suppose it was your mission to come to a metro area of more than 6 million people where there's 200,000 Chinese and plant God's church among them. That was the work of Rachel and William in Houston, Texas. Well, as it began to grow and the interest became stronger, they kept just praying and saying, Lord, lead us to places where we can meet Chinese and Taiwanese people so that we can love them and care about them. And that's how they came to the Taiwanese Cultural Center. There at this place, they knew there were a lot of senior citizens coming because they missed their home country, they missed Taiwan, they needed the fellowship, the friendship. But they also needed better health. And Rachel saw immediately an opportunity to truly care. She asked permission. They weren't sure who she was, where this couple was coming from. And so they said, well, you can do it once. So they let them have an opportunity to do that. And as they did that, they were able to see that she was teaching incredibly. It was beautiful, connected with the people. It was just the kind of things they needed to know to prevent diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and the rest. Well, that meant they wanted them to come every month, and they kept coming and kept coming. And then they invited a group of young people who'd come from Wildwood to come and do massages and some more teaching and care about them. And so the friendships have just developed, and so now they're able to visit the homes, do health coaching, and say to them, what would you like to change? What's one thing that could significantly improve your health that you'd like to do over this next couple of weeks? To do a little bit of cooking demonstrations right there and have some of the delicious, tasty, healthy food that Rachel and William are good at making. So these are some of the things that they've done. Just being a friend. I watch them as they go into a park, walk around, exercise, be able to be friendly with the people, just connecting with them and showing them the true love of God. So what's going to happen next? Well, it's a little hard to tell, but they're starting to meet in a home once a month as a group. The church members come and other friends that they're meeting. They meet in a home so that they can come close to one another and feel the love and support that sometimes you don't feel when you go to church. But what is church anyway? Church is a group of people who love each other and who care. And so that's what they're doing, and that's how they're reaching out.
Hello, church. My experience with William and Rachel, I had really appreciated their hospitality, how they opened their doors to just let complete strangers in, and they treat us like their own. And they also met my needs. I was on a specific diet, a gluten-free diet, and she always made sure that I had something that I could eat, and I'd really appreciated that. And as well as how their hard work and dedication, how they worked in the Chinese community, and you can just see their love and care of how they treated everyone. And I think one thing that we can get from it is that it takes a lot of self-sacrifice in doing the work of the Lord. And it doesn't matter what talents that we have, God can use each and every single one of us in our own talents to work to bring some soul to Christ. So I just took from that I can serve in my own way and how God can use me.
Okay, so for me, and I guess for all of us, every moment and every day of our mission trip was a true blessing. We could really see God's love through the people, through the simplicity, the smallest of things. And every day we would go to the Taiwanese Cultural Center and we would give massage, blood pressure, we will give nutrition counseling, and it was so interesting and so amazing to see the senior Chinese people so excited about their health and wanting to get better, and they even encourage each other. There was this old man that he was telling all his friends to come with us so that we can give him counseling, and then after that we would go to give out flyers. so that they could go to our events in the evening and to evangelistic campaigns. So we would go to Chinatown and to all these Chinese places and malls to reach out to the people. And then in the evening, we would give seminars, exercise classes, and cooking classes to the Chinese people. And so most of the time they will understand our language, but also Rachel and William will translate all our classes so that they could understand better. And the most challenging thing for me was the English classes. So Ishmael told us that we were going to have English classes for Chinese people, and we didn't realize how hard it was to teach a language until we got to do it. And the hardest part was that it was not teaching it to French people or Spanish people that at least you have like a little bit of words that you can relate to. This was Chinese, so it was very hard because we were trying to communicate with them, and sometimes we had no idea how to transmit an idea. But it was very amazing, and through that, we actually were able to see the power of friendship, because these people in China, they don't have the opportunity to know about God. They're not allowed to have a religion. So this is their only chance or their only opportunity to know about the gospel. And so we were not able to tell them about God just like that. We had to use friendship. We had to genuinely show them our love and our interest for them. And they were really eager to also be our friends. And they even taught us Chinese, which was really great. And one of them, he's Joe. We became friends with Joe, Emma, and Nick. They were PhD students in Texas. So this might be their only chance to have someone to talk to them about God. And the most interesting thing is that after we left, well, I really thought, I don't know about you guys, but I really thought, oh, well, we met these guys and we became friends with them, and maybe that's it. Maybe God sometime in the future will bring them closer to his word. But the most interesting thing was that a week after this, Nick sent me a text, and he was telling me that he was now with Em and Joe. They were now receiving Bible classes. So it was amazing to know that they are now knowing more about God thanks to our friendship.
Okay, so part of our trip for me was to learn about the Chinese culture. So William, whom we're working with, he took us to a market, a Chinese market. So, well, I'm still surprised up to today. So that's part of the Chinese diet. So it comprises of frogs, as you can see on the picture. So I was really surprised. So one day, one of the ladies I was teaching English, I asked her about this because I was really concerned for days because, you know, in my culture it's something that's not very normal. So I asked her, I say to her, do you eat frogs? Like, I just asked directly, and and she said to me, yeah, I do. And she was so confident. I was like, oh, really? She was like, yeah. And then she told me that she was actually planning to go a week from that day to buy them because they consider them like a delicacy in the Chinese culture. So, next slide. So, okay, so here, after we learned, about the Chinese diet, we decided to actually try to give them something better. So Ishmael came up with an idea that he needed to make tacos for the group. So what you can see in the picture is Emma, Nick, and so just Emma and Nick were in this picture. So Ishmael made tacos, of which they really enjoyed the meal. They really appreciated it. So also part of our trip was to learn a bit of Chinese. So I'll share one experience which was quite interesting for me. So we were promoting a health expo on a Sunday. So William taught us how to to speak to the Chinese to invite them to an event that was happening the next day. So he taught us to say Mintian Lai Tika. So that meant that we were inviting them to an event coming like the next day. So we were saying, tomorrow you need to come to this event. So I went with Sarah in the Chinese block. So one man opened the door. I was by myself. Sarah was on the other door. So he opened the door. So me, I was so focused on my line, like I was just saying in my mind, Mintian Lai Tika. You know, I needed to remind myself. So, but there's something that I didn't notice. So I just said the phrase to the man. I said, Mintian Lai Tika. So he looked at me. He was so surprised. I was like, wow, this is interesting. If I not say this correctly. So I repeated it to him. So Sarah then came. She was like, "Cuz you know, the man is Spanish. He's not. He's not even. He's not even Chinese." So but yeah, I was really just excited to to just learn a bit of Chinese. So one last thing I would like to share with you is during this meeting, you can see in the picture. So Emma and Nick, they shared with us that in China, they don't have WhatsApp, YouTube, or Twitter, or Facebook, and most social media sites that we're familiar with. So, so you can actually see that it's a challenge in China for people to really come to know about Christ. So it was a privilege for us to actually minister to them whilst they are here. Just for Nick, he was only here for 3 months, and I think he's due to return next month. Yeah, due to return next month to China. So it was a privilege for us to share with them the Word of God whilst they were still here. So it just reminded me of a text that we find Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14, that says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." So we're just reminded that no matter what, even the barriers that the states have put in China, the gospel will still go on, and amen.
As for the last report that they shared with us, they said, we were just gathering together in a Sabbath school at our home. And we were 8 people, but we couldn't stay ourselves satisfied with that. So we decided to go out and to share with others about Jesus Christ. In the month of November, for the first 2 weekends, they decided to host an evangelistic series after we were gone and the invitations that we were giving. And 6 of our contacts came to the evangelistic campaign. One of them that is coming back to China, where hear about Jesus Christ is forbidden, or to be preaching about that, decided to learn more. Meanwhile, he or she is in America. So pray for them, and pray also for the Chinese couple that is trying to preach to a people that is difficult, that they have a reach about Jesus Christ and the gospel of everlasting life.
Thank you very much. It's really excited. We have these communities within us here in America, and it's amazing. They have to be reached out. And now let's go north. I believe we have a testimony from our friends from Michigan. Please come here. We would like to hear more about this mission trip.
So unfortunately, we doesn't have a PowerPoint. And Cristobal will talk first.
Okay, so
It's what he told me.
okay, so thanks God, we do have a PowerPoint, and well, so have you saw that church? So this is our mission trip. We went with Esteban, Rachel, Sammy, Sandra, Nicole, and I, and we went to Michigan. It was a 8 hours drive, something like that, with stops like 10 hours, so it was an interesting trip. And we arrived to the Church of Trinity Temple. There, the first Sabbath, we had we have some people preaching, singing, participating with the church. We made a health expo also, and we will talk a little bit more about that. So we just want to start saying a little bit about the guests that received us, or the hosts.
Okay, so happy Sabbath, church. So what we were doing is that the first weekend that we were there, we helped Dr. Janice and her husband that were the ones that invited us at the You See My Lifestyle Center. The You See My Lifestyle Center is a home lifestyle center, and we were staying with that couple. So what we did the first Sabbath is we helped, and then Sandra, she couldn't be here, but she gave the Sabbath school lesson. Then Sammy gave a mission report. Cristobal was the preacher, and I did special music. And the Sabbath afternoon, we were doing a health expo, which was a real blessing, not just for the people, but for us. And it was really interesting seeing that even the pastor was really interested and involved in the activities that we were doing with the church. On Sunday, we had another health expo, so the first weekend that we were there, it was like really busy. And then on the weekdays, we started doing some visitations. So what we were doing is that Dr. Janice, the owner of the Lifestyle Center, she was giving us some treatments, like cases, and after that we will meet together and discuss the cases and then come up with a treatment. And in the afternoons we will go and then do the treatments to the people that needed them.
Okay, so for me, this experience was interesting, and it wasn't what I thought, because when we prepared to go there with Esteban, he told us to prepare 6 health talks, and that it's a lifestyle center, that we will have to heal guests, and so yeah, I thought that I thought it will be like a lifestyle coaching. And finally, so two semesters before, Ismael went with a team, and the owner of the Lifestyle Center, Janice, Dr. Janice, Dr. Matling, she had difficulties to bring the guests to the Lifestyle Center. So the homemade Lifestyle Center. So she decided that this time we had to meet them in their home. And finally, so the ladies, they healed 2 people, and Nicole, she will talk about that. And the guys, we had to heal 1 person. And what we did a lot is a service to the owners of the Lifestyle Center. And for example, I had the privilege to create a flower bed for them, and she wanted it since a long time. And also we did some visitations. And what I liked the most is visiting Battle Creek, the village, the Adventist village. And even there were plants, and very interesting plants. And it was because in France we begin a lot to do that, because when you use wild plants in your flower beds, it's using less water. There is an adaptation to the local soil, and so it's environmental, it's ecological. And so I took pictures everywhere of these flowers and of all the houses of pioneers. And we visited the house where Ellen White, she wrote The Grand Controversy. So it was very nice. We went 2 times. The first time we didn't have a tour, and the second time we had a tour, and the guide gave me his keys. So it was me who opened the doors and who closed the doors. And so Christopher, the evening, he told me, yeah, you know what, I think the Lord wanted to show you that by a little thing that he loves you. And so I thought, oh, yeah, it's true, it's very nice. And so, yeah, I enjoyed a lot. And we visited also Andrews University, and they have 100 machines for the gym. And a huge swimming pool. They have a big library. It's very huge. And so, yeah, we had a great service and medical missionary time. No.
Okay, so yes, as you can see, Sammy was really excited about a lot of things there. So here we are with Sammy in James and Ellen White's house. And it was a really nice experience to be there in the real room where Ellen White wrote The Great Controversy. Actually, the guy was telling us that was the real chair where she was writing everything. So that was a really nice experience. That was the first publishing house of the Review and Herald. And this is all in this Adventist village in Battle Creek. This was the bed of James White. He was in a room that in the second floor, like separated from the room where Ellen White was sleeping. So that was really nice to be there. This is the sanitarium, where Kellogg's Sanitarium, the one but now this building belongs to the government. I don't know if this will play. Yes. So, well, so that's the building. It was really, really big. I mean, if we bring our minds back to the time that this building was a sanitarium, an Adventist sanitarium, was just great what God was working with the people there. And that was a church, like one of the first Adventist churches there. Esteban was telling us that this church, like they built this church with like any money. Like they were just started receiving donations, and then they built this church that is this tabernacle. Then we went to Andrews. This is the church there. And this is the actual suite that Kellogg used to wear. Thank you. So we did some really nice activities there with the people. We did cooking classes. We had really nice experiences. And I just want to finish with a testimony there, of the pastor there. And just to see that it's really important that we as members of the church, we need to be involved. And the church is also seeing what we are doing. So there was a pastor here, Pastor White, that was in charge of the church that we were there. So they went, I think that Ishmael went like 2 semesters ago, and they made one of these health age tests with him. So this pastor at that time was like around 40 or 39, and his health age was like 63. So the pastor was like, oh man, what can I do? And the lady here, Miss Janice, she's the one that received us, and this is her husband. And so she started helping the pastor. She started taking his blood pressure. She started encouraging him to make exercise, drink water, have a proper nutrition and everything. So the pastor started making all these changes with the time. And he was really excited of having this health age test again. So the health expo went on. We started like around 3 and we finished like at 6 or something. So he was the last one. He went to the temperance booth. Sandra was in that booth, and he was like very nervous making this test. So when they did this test, he was at this year he is 43, and he was 41 on the health aid. So literally, the pastor just jumped out of the seat and he started saying, I'm younger than I am and everything. He started saying that to the whole church. So we could really see that the pastor was really happy with these changes. And I really and strongly believe that this will be also a blessing for the people there on the church. I just want to read here in Matthew, chapter 5, verse 15 says, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. So this light, this pastor will give this light to everyone that is in that house, to everyone that is in that church. And we hope by the grace of God that the people there in that church will start putting in practice all these laws of health that we are trying to teach the people.
Yeah, one or two details more. So when Christopher he preached, and the first Sabbath, and after the pastor was discussing with another pastor when we did the Health Expo, the Sabbath afternoon, and he was telling him that the other pastor preached in his church the same theme that Cristobal did, and so yeah, it was amazing. And also in Battle Creek, we had the opportunity to visit the museum of Kellogg's work, and it was very interesting because we had a class on the medical machinery history, and seeing all his inventions, and the fact that when he left the church, we never had again all these things was very interesting, and I hope and pray that they will be a continuing of this revival of medical machinery and health in the church.
Thank you very much. And last group tonight will be the group from Rhode Island. And I will invite my friends to come here, 16 hours driving. Please, Father Johnny, Ricardo, Tunda, and Nicole, share with us the blessings that God gave you over there.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, so it was about a 16-hour drive. I think we left Sunday, if my memory is still intact. And we were still, did we leave Sunday? Monday, all right. So we left Monday, and then I remember the details now. So we left Monday, and we got to New Jersey. We left maybe really early in the morning Monday, and then got really late in the evening to New Jersey on Monday. We stayed the night, and then we continued driving to go to Rhode Island from there. And what was crazy is because on Tuesday, we had our first meeting that night at 7. And we're still driving. And as we're driving, we went and visited this place here. I don't remember the name, but I remember that this is a place in New Jersey to where we can see some of New York. And apparently New York is really important to people who are outside of the U.S. So we stopped and took a picture there. And that was really happy for us. And we eventually arrived to the church at like 5:30 on Tuesday. And we had to get ready for our first meeting, which was at 7. Just to give you a basic outline of the whole week, we woke up on our own time. We had breakfast, and then we all left about 9:30 in the morning to have visitations until lunch. After lunch, we had visitations till about 5 or 5:30. And then we prepared the church for our meetings at 7, got done about 9, got home about 9:30, 9:45. And that was basically our whole schedule all week except for Friday.
Happy Sabbath. Okay. So to be honest, during all the semester, I was really excited, but at the same time, I was really worried about the mini mission trip because I don't like public speaking. So I was really really excited, but really worried. But God gave me the opportunity to start to overcome that fear because the only way to do it is doing it. So my first blessing of my mission trip was my team. I was really, really blessed by them because we are all very different, but at the same time, we have the same purpose. And when you put your life in God's hands, you can do great things. My second blessing was her, Rita. She was one of the ladies there that invited us to go to the church. She was really, really nice, and she really take care of us. She cooked amazing, and I was really, really happy. This little girl here, she is Siva. She was there every night taking notes. She was there all the nights, and I realized that there's no age to start to being a medical missionary. And this last lady, Sue, I really see God's love through her. She was really, really nice, and she shared her missionary experience. So I'm really glad, and I was really blessed.
Well, my favorite part of this trip, it was also an experience with a gentleman we met over there. And it just came to my mind that this is kind of a law in human interaction, that you may see the same situation, but everyone will see that in a different perspective. So the first thing, I got the privilege to teach the massage booth. So we set up the tables the day before, everything was ready. And as soon as we entered into the church the previous night, there was this brother that just by listening to him or interacting, I don't know how else to describe it, so I hope you understand me. There was this brother, and as soon as you interact with him, you know that he has jumped out of the sea of faces that you see in a church. So you can feel like a special connection with this brother. In this night, the previous night, for the massage booth, he has been asking some random and tough questions to the presenter. For instance, we were speaking about exercise, if I remember, yeah. So he said, but a lot of people does not need the same amount of exercise. And the presenter answered, there's some things you can do here and there. So you know where I want to go? I mean, he was doing like some questions that were kind of tough to answer. So I was kind of predisposed, or I have some prejudices. And I was thinking, oh man, I wish this sir, not for him not to come, but just to be quiet a little bit for the time I was about to speak. So we enter to the massage, and here is how I see the massage really opens the people, so you can connect with the people. I team up with this gentleman for the massage booth, so we were talking about a lot of things. He was telling me that he's an accountant, that he has traveled all around the world. He has been to China, to Europe, to Africa. So we kind of really get closer. I mean, all the previous ideas that I had about him were now like gone. We really came, I would not say close friends, but yeah, we can speak for a long time. And actually, at the end of the course that we were giving over there, he approached me and he thanked me by all the effort the team was doing over there. And also, he gave me a kimono. I think that's the name for the suit in China. So I was like shocked because I wouldn't have expected that a man that I was thinking that was kind of hard or rough would give me a kimono at the end of the session. So I was really surprised, and that's how I understand that this is how God seems to us sometimes, because he may see, okay, this guy is rough, he might be passing through through a hard situation, but at the bottom, he knows our heart and he wants to change us. So I learned a lot of things about this mission trip, and this was one of my favorite experiences.
Something that I learned about people and myself and trips in general is that there's things that happen that are unexpected. And one of those things was visitations. I mean, we kind of knew that we were going to do them, but we didn't have an idea of like, this is what we're going to do, this is the outline. So when we get there, I think the setup was the same from the very first. We would talk with them and see if there's anything that they would need help with, anything that we can offer, and then any prayer requests. And we would sing, did we sing songs before that? Okay, we would sing songs before that. And the very first one, it was cool because Tuna brought her ukulele. And I really like the ukulele. And so she brought the ukulele, and then we had Nikki and Yulia and Ricardo. But Yulia brought her flute. And so we would all sing with this cool instrument band, like at every single visitation. And I remember the first visitation, I'm just listening to after the singing, I'm listening to this person's prayer request, and I'm thinking about a Bible verse, and Jacob says, okay, Johnny, do you have something to share with this individual? And I was like, oh man. And but thankfully I did. And so after I shared this small little thought with them, and we would pray, and we would carry on, I realized that, okay, maybe this is the game plan for every visitation. So here's a visitation on the screen. Here's a visitation. This actually was my personal favorite. This lady's name was Ingrid, and she was really struggling with depression, anxiety, and different things. And the ladies brought the gift of massage with them. So after we did our whole setup and praying and singing, they said, would you like a massage? And she said, yeah, sure. So they went to the room, and me and Jacob and Ricardo were just sitting there. We're like, man, what can we do? And she had this dirty kitchen with dirty dishes. She cleaned all the house, but it looks like she didn't get to the dishes yet. And we're like, man, let's do the dishes. So we did all the dishes for her, cleaned the kitchen. And then Jacob looks out in the backyard. He's like, man, her yard her grass is tall. What can we do about it? Does she have a lawnmower back there, man? I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I go back there and I look, and she has this manual push blade, not a gas mower, but one of the blades. So Jacob is like, come on, man, let's go. So they go to the front. We grab Ricardo, and they're just out there trying their efforts to mow her lawn, and with this manual blade thing, and we're like, okay, what else can we do? So we grab different tools, and we just start cutting her grass, weeding the place, making it all look really nice for her. And as I'm cutting these random trees along her fence, this lady from Cambodia says, are you from the city? I said, no, because I assumed that she thought I was working for the city. I said, no, I'm not from the city. I'm just helping out a friend. And she says, oh. And she's just kind of standing there, and I'm like, oh, she wants something from me. So I said, well, do you need some help? And she's like, oh, well, you're busy. I was like, no, I can come help you. And she's like, okay. And she had her baby with her. And I was like, oh, what's your baby's name? I got to know her a little bit, found out that she's from Cambodia. And then I opened up to her after I clipped her yard. She said, hey, you are not being safe. I said, what? What do you mean? I'm just cutting branches. She says, you need safety glasses. I said, no, it's fine, it's fine. She says, no, really. And she went and got 2 pairs of safety glasses because she saw Jacob as well. And she's like, here, you can have. And I was like, oh man, these are cool. I should get one too. And I asked her, I said, I want a safety glasses too. And she says, okay. And she brought it to me. And in that time, I found out that her mom was actually suffering with some kind of pain in her neck or her back. And I said, well, hey, we have some ladies doing massage next door. Maybe they can help. And so, we went from there. And I think Tunda might share on that. I'm not sure. But, it was a blessing. I had the privilege, actually, to... Here's some other visitations. I had the privilege of teaching hydrotherapy with Yulia, and I realized that there's a lot of work that goes into teaching hydrotherapy, and I was really thankful for our team. We were really unified. I mean, we didn't have to, it's not like we had to sit down and give every detail to each other what needed to be done. It just happened, and that was really the Lord, because I didn't know what I was doing for the most part, except for what I had studied, what I was presenting, and I didn't know, it was so much. And thanks be to God that He put the team together to do that. And another favorite experience, I had the privilege to, after the whole week of training the church, to be able to present to the church on Sabbath the message of why medical missionary work is biblical. But then we had a cooking class. And the cooking class, I think, was my favorite part of the whole experience, because it was just so fun, so laid back, no stress, having fun with the people. And so, yeah, that was my favorite experiences.
Hi, good evening, church. So just to add from what's been said, one of my favorite parts of the whole week was actually the teaching element. I love to teach, and here you see us teaching massage. So Ricardo was teaching the men, and I was teaching the ladies, and here I was showing them how to do a back massage. And it was just really nice to see how everything we had learned could be put into practice. As has been said, when you spend months and months learning and you go out there and you can't actually just have your sheets in front of you, that's when you really realize how much you have learned. And it was so nice to see how responsive people were, and they were asking questions, and the Holy Spirit is helping you to answer them in the right way. And massage is, for me, a personal favorite part of the course anyway, because I find it's a really personal way of actually connecting with people. So going back to the lady that Johnny had already mentioned, Sister Ingrid, when we had done a massage for her, Johnny suddenly called me and said, "Oh, do you have some time? There is this lady next door who needs some help." And when we went over there, her mum just kept pointing to her shoulder. She couldn't speak much English, but she just kept going like this and squinting her eyes and just kept saying the word pain. That's the only English word she knew to say. And as I was massaging her, after a while, she started pulling out money. And I thought, oh, no, we're doing this completely for free, because she must have thought we were professionals. And Nikki came to join me too, and she just kept trying to offer us money. We were like, no, this is completely just free work. We're here to help people. But she insisted that we take it, so we just gave it to Jacob for gas money. But what was nice about it is, again, even though we couldn't communicate with her verbally, it was nice to see that massage and touch is a language that everybody can understand. And these are just some more pictures. As well as having the opportunity to teach and do visitations, we really got an opportunity to see a little bit of Rhode Island, which is a very beautiful part. And it's true that people from abroad love to go up north to see the different fall colors. So here we just had the opportunity to go and see and visit Joseph Bates' house. And that is the picture that you see in the bottom left. So they were working on it, and the gentleman was just showing us the reconstruction that they're doing in there. That was a boat room, for instance, where they were trying to reconstruct the days that Joseph Bates had spent on his boat. And we also got an opportunity just to bond more as a team. So we got to see a lighthouse after we'd spent the whole week talking about wanting to see one. And also the church took us out for a nice meal. So there you see us all having the opportunity just to connect and to talk with them some more. So overall, our experience in Rhode Island just again showed us the necessity of medical missionary training and why what we're doing, what we're learning here is needed. So I'm hoping that you were all encouraged that we're doing here a work that is necessary, that is required, and that there are people out there that really do need to know that God cares and that He loves them, and that He will use you personally to administer that touch and that love to them.
Thank you very much, my friend. At this time, I would like to invite the church to conclude with a word of prayer. And we thank you so much for your time, and I hope we get encouraged tonight. So, there is a lot of work to do, and all of you have been called as a young people here for God to collaborate with Him. So I would like to invite you to stand up and have a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the report and the testimonies, Lord. Thank you, Father, because you are working all over the country, all over the world, and you are using your young people, Father, to do this work. You are encouraging all people from different nationalities, different parts of this country, being motivated, being touched, Father, being witnessed through the medical missionary work. Help us to keep doing this work, Father. Help us to keep providing these opportunities, and help us to be motivated and to pray that, please, God, if it's your will, we can keep serving you as long as we have life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. May God bless you. We're all dismissed.